Welcome to Women at the Top, where we share professional journeys to inspire yours.
Hello, I'm your host, Max Zhang, founder of Human Prosperity. Today, I'm excited to have Mariella on the show. Mariella, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, my name is Mariella. I actually work at a company called Informatica. We recently got acquired by Salesforce, and I am on the sales team for the Northeast. Informatica, it's a cloud data management platform. Basically, our platform does everything from integrating data, consolidating. We help a lot with customers trying to clean their data governance, master data management. We have the whole SaaS platform, end-to-end cloud data management. We also work with customers that are working on-prem, trying to modernize. So we do the hybrid model. But our platform is unique because it's embedded with artificial intelligence. So it's low code to no code. And we have competitors or people that kind of have a couple of our solutions, but they don't have the whole platform, which is kind of what makes us unique, as well as our platform is a consumption-based pricing model. So you kind of pay for what you use. And if you're not using the IPUs, which is our Informatica processing units, then it stays. It's kind of like a package. Like if you were to go to an arcade and you get certain coins, and then you can use all the machines, but you can only, once you're done with the coins, you have to buy more coins. So that's what people love about our platform. But yeah, I feel like I went into a tangent, but yeah, that's basically what our platform, we basically bring data to life for companies, enterprise and commercial, smaller companies, make it make sense.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, like Informatica is definitely one of the top products out there in terms of organizing information and making it accessible and intelligent. Cool. And can you tell us a little bit more about like how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so it's actually hopefully I can try to make this short. I was not in tech originally before Informatica. I was selling title insurance. I'm sure you read through some of my stuff, and I've done accounting and other things beforehand. I actually met someone that was in tech, and I talked to them about like my job and what I did, and they were like, wow, it sounds like you have like such a great personality. Like, I think you'd be really good in tech sales. I was like, I don't think I'll be good in tech sales because I don't have an engineering background. I didn't study technology. And so they basically pitched me. They were like, no, you can learn the solutions. Your communication skills are really good. Like, you just need to basically understand the psychology and talking to people. And if you believe in the product, you can sell it. And so I basically like read all these sales psychology books. I started going to technology events and networking with people. I basically pretended that I was already in tech sales, and I started applying for the jobs. I quit my job so that I could full-time like have laser focus. And in my delusional mindset, I thought I was going to get the job like immediately. It took me 7 months to get it. And I guess I didn't give up. A lot of people were like, you should give up and go back to your old jobs. Like, you're not going to get into tech sales. It's really hard. You don't have the background or the experience. And so usually all my life, I've always kind of been like the underdog. People, especially being a brown woman, it's never been like easy for me to get to where I want to be, but I've never listened to people that say that I can't do something. So when someone says I can't do something, I actually make it a challenge. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do it no matter what anyone says. So I continued applying. I continued doing interviews. I would review my interviews and see like, what did I do wrong? How can I do this better? And then I started cold calling all my friends that were in tech, and they would give me feedback. And that was the most nerve-wracking because it's your friends. And then they're telling you like what you did wrong. And you're like, oh my gosh, like they're going to think I'm so dumb. But it actually helped me a lot. It built my confidence, because if you can tell your friends, and it's kind of like public speaking with your family or someone, like people that you know, it's more nerve-wracking than strangers, because you're like, these strangers, they don't know me, I'm never going to see them again. But it was actually people that you know. I think it builds more like inside, where you're like, okay, well, if I can do this in front of my friends and family, like I can do it in front of strangers. So then I started doing the interviews and I started getting better. And I finally landed this job. And so, yeah, that's how I got into tech. I landed this job through a friend that was a referral. So networking is like, that's one thing I always try to advocate for people that I mentor, is that you should always try to build your network of people that you want to be like or you want to get to, because they're going to help you get into the job. People always want to help no matter what.
Yeah, definitely, 100% on that. And yeah, it's important to build that network so that you can actually reach out to help them, and also they can also help you as well. So the more the network, the more the people that you can trust, the more opportunities they are for you. So.
Mhm.
And definitely, going back to what you said about setting that goal, that vision, like a lot, and not giving up, like 1,000% on that. Like so many people actually have a dream, but then they don't do so much, and then they give up at the middle, and then they switch to something else because it gets boring or becomes too hard, and that's why they will not get what they want. But you, on the other hand, you never gave up. And that's why that you are able to reach your success and get the job you want. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now that you have, achieved the success you want, and can you tell us a little bit more about like some of your top accomplishments?
When I got this job, I guess my past jobs, I've never really been that proud to work for those jobs. I always kind of thought, "Oh, I make okay money. The people I work with are nice," but I never wanted to be like them. I would look at people, even people that were in higher positions than me, and I was like, do I want that job? Like, no. So I didn't have that level, that mindset shift that I got when I got into tech. And so when I got this job, I knew that I couldn't take any risks in terms of like losing this position, that I knew that I had to like do whatever it took to get promoted or make myself, I guess, think outside the box in terms of like my responsibilities and do things that elevate me higher up outside of my role. So for the first time ever, one thing that I'm really proud of is I ran a half marathon. And I've always wanted to run a half marathon, but I never really had the discipline. I never really had the motivation or anything that kind of like, I never felt like I could strive for more until I got into tech. When I got into tech, I felt like, wow, I'm surrounded by these genius people that are like millionaires, and they're running marathons, and they're public speaking, and they're part of organizations and networks where they're mentoring, and they're doing these great things. It's like a huge life, where I never was, I guess, around that in my other job. So that was one of the biggest, coolest things that I thought, was running a half marathon. And I wanted to put myself in uncomfortable situations, so that, because my job is hard and it can be really, really nerve-wracking, especially dealing with like executives or CIOs of these huge enterprise companies. So I jumped out of an airplane, and I was like, after that, I felt like life wasn't that scary. Like meeting with CEOs was like a piece of cake, because I go to networking events all the time, and I chat with them, and I'm like, what can be scarier than jumping out of a plane? So once I did that, I feel like it kind of reduced a lot of fears that I used to have of like public speaking, or when I have to run discovery calls or like networking events. I think it just kind of changed my mindset. And then obviously reading a lot of the books that I've finished reading that I never really read before I got into tech. I've also changed my psychology, the way I think, my emotional intelligence. I feel like I've never been this elevated, I guess, in my past jobs than I have when I got into tech. It's kind of like you're surrounded by these people that you kind of have to like match. You can't stay like average. You have to be above average to even stay in your surrounding areas. And it happens naturally in a little bit, but then also you have to put your part.
Yeah, it's definitely the network effect. You are who you are that you hang out with, and in order to achieve these amazing things, I'm sure you also went through a lot of different challenges as well. So can you tell us a bit more about some of the challenges you kind of went through and how you overcame them?
I've read a lot of books of people that have become successful, and so I kind of see myself in those people. I grew up with immigrant parents that are super strict. So they don't really accept bare minimum if they come to a country where they think this is like freedom. This is a country where you're going to be rich, and they bring you here when they're young. They kind of expect you to be the ones to bring the family to, I guess, I don't know, rich, from rags to riches. So growing up, I always had expectations from my parents to like, I can't accept bare minimum, that I have to become the best of the best. And so I was always in sports growing up. I not put myself through college because my dad financially helped, but I remember my parents didn't know much English, so I had to file everything myself, which I thought was like, oh my gosh, like most of my friends, their parents are doing this. Why do I have to do it? So I always remember that things weren't really handed to me easily. I had to kind of go out of my way to like research and do things on my own. So I kind of had that grit since I was little, that I always had to like, life was going to be hard, but there was no other option. Like I didn't have anything to fall back on. This was either this or nothing. So I think it's the groundwork that my parents kind of put into me. I was kind of like, I'm the firstborn daughter, and they always say it's kind of like the firstborn daughter is always kind of like the person that's like holds all the responsibilities and has the family together, and is always like the mother nurturing person that has to be the best because everyone's watching you. So I think all that pressure and like growing up with my parents' strict rules kind of like made me grind and motivated and wake up every day having goals. I remember it was weird. I was little and it would be summer. And if we didn't go to like a summer camp, we would just stay home and my parents would go to work. And I would wake up every morning super early and write down all my goals for the summer. And I was like, okay. And then I would be like, put a timer and I'd be like, okay, I have to get up early and like study algebra, or I'd have to get up early and like do my basketball because I wanted to be a basketball star when I was little. And so, but I always had like, I never had like a chill moment where I could just sit down and do nothing. I've always had to do something in order for me to like get to where I was. And one of my goals I remember when I was little was we grew up in a small town in Tennessee, Jefferson County. And I remember saying to myself, when I grow up, I'm going to move to a big city. And I moved to many big cities throughout my life, but I remember thinking like, wow, I actually like did some of my goals from when I was little. But I think it's always come from like my parents kind of drilling everything into me.
Yeah, sounds like you have pretty amazing parents, and despite the fact that they didn't speak English. And yeah, so in terms of habits, though, like what are some of the habits that you have, daily that allows you to achieve high performance?
Oh, okay. I love this question. I have a bunch of habits. So I always want to maximize sleep is so important. I can definitely tell how foggy my brain is if I don't get my 8.5. I try to aim for 9, but that doesn't usually get it. 8 is my max hours. So I always set my alarm and I have like the reminder with my Apple, like starting to, what's it called? Like dim down, turn the lights down, not use the phone. 8 hours is a must have for me. I also meditate every day. I try to meditate for at least 10 minutes. I set like a quiet space in my apartment. I make sure that my phone is on do not disturb, and I need quiet time for 10 minutes. And then also I drink a lot of water and I exercise almost every single day after work. So I think those are like the strict disciplines that I have. But then I also have like with my calendar, everyone's like what, a slave to their calendar, but I color code my calendars and I make sure that I block off times for focus, concentration, and then I block out times for my meetings and stuff. But I think I also set daily goals, like what do I want to accomplish today or what I want to accomplish this week. And I feel like once you kind of check off those goals, it's kind of like something like it's so rewarding and empowering for your mind, and it kind of keeps you going. Not just goals for the week though. I also have goals for the year and goals for like quarters for hitting my metrics, my numbers. I think all that kind of like comes together. But the one thing that I really love is like meditating. I think I've been meditating for almost 5 years now. And with the stress of being in companies like Informatica or Salesforce and like the pressure you get, I think if you don't have like that quiet time in your mind to not think and just breathe and like be calm, I don't know how I would be able to do, because you have to regulate your emotions, and emotional intelligence is really such a huge thing. You have to be aware of your surroundings. And I think meditation has kind of like changed the way I view relationships, how I view my tasks, how I view my stress. If anyone's ever like, what do you do in corporate America to be successful? I'm like, meditate, meditate and exercise.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I recommend to my clients as well. I mean, it's building those exercise and meditation and the daily habits of actually sleeping well every single day. When you're actually able to maintain those daily habits well, then you can actually achieve your highest level of performance, because everything you do every single day dictates your entire life, because you only
Yeah.
have 2 hours, not many years. Yeah. So one last question for you. What's next? What's your dream?
So my dream is I want to be a millionaire. That's been my dream since I was little. And I have certain like mini goals that I feel like can kind of get to that number. I mean, it's just not just a million. I want to make more than 1 million, but that's kind of like the starting point of like my dream. So I have little goals to get to separate different positions in my company to get there. But a lot of things that I do in terms of like my growth is like taking public speaking classes. I purchase coaching classes with people that can make to see my weaknesses and kind of help me to kind of like level up in my career. And yeah, so that's, I feel like it's a tangent on my goals, but yeah, that's my next goal.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great goal to have, the financial freedom, and at the same time, focusing on your own growth. So, thank you for, sharing.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I feel like it's an honor. When you reached out, I was like, wow.
For listening and hope that inspired you to reach the top. To get some help, check out our free services at humanprosperity.io.